You know, one of the biggest reasons that I got the Dark Claymore was so that way I was able to do Slayers easier. More specifically, Wolf Slayers, because as we all know, Wolves only take melee damage. Right? Oh, what the hell.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger.
I have no clue when this change happened. What I do know is that my Wolf Slayer level is absolutely abysmal, so, you know, I need to work on that. I was just chilling in an end lobby, and some guy was like, oh yeah, wolves take magic damage now. And I was like, no they don't. And, you know, wouldn't you know it, I head to the cave, and they take magic damage. You see this? You see this? I two-tap them. And then he spawns his little pups, and then you two-tap him again. It's so easy. Now, not to say that wolves weren't easy before, it's just they're a little bit easier to manage now. The reason people didn't want to do wolves in the first place is because meleeing is so boring. Well, I guess like not boring, but a hassle. With mage, you just right-click a couple times and then they die. Watch and learn. Spawns his little dogs, and then he dies. It takes 5.8 seconds to kill. It's so easy. One thing to come out of this, though, is the Overflux is actually dropping in price. Because of inflation, they shot up to like 200 million coins, and then they started hovering around like 150. But since this change, they've dropped down to like 94 mil, which is crazy. I never really worried about that, though, because I bought an Overflux a long time ago. But maybe this is a sign for me to finally hit Wolf Slayer 9 for that plus 2 HP that it offers. Now, if I actually grind Wolf Slayers and I end up dropping my Overflux, I'm not going to complain at 100 mil. That's 100 free mil. One thing I do like about Wolves is that they're not necessarily profitable, but they also don't absolutely drain your bank account. Like most of the time you break even, which is really nice. I guess I should probably show my very good Wolf Slayer setup. So here's my setup. I'm using 3/4 Necrotic Sorrow, and half of it isn't even enchanted. This was just cheapest off of AH. And then I'm using my Wither Goggles, which are pretty maxed. And then I'm using my Wolf Pet. Fun fact, this is the only pet that I've actually leveled from level 1 to level 100. Well, soon to be level 100. And also the star of the show, my Hyperion. I was honestly thinking of just selling my Dark Claymore because I use it for literally nothing. I did use it for ghost grinding to hit combat 60, but then I hit combat 60. So now I don't use it anymore. Really, the only thing I use it for is LCM when there's Dupe Arch in like floor 7s or something like that. I don't even do Master Mode, so Dupe Archer doesn't even matter. And I mean, I have a pretty lackluster LCM setup, but it's still doing like 70 to 80 mil, which is crazy. But to be honest, it would be much better as an LCM weapon if it was actually one for all. So I don't know, I'm thinking of selling this one and then buying a one for all one. As stupid as that would be, I literally only use it for LCM, so I think that might be the play. I don't know, maybe that'll be the Dark Claymore update video, will be the LCM video, we'll see. And plus, I'll also get money off of this because max ones normally go for like 550 and OFA ones go for like 400, so I don't know. I'll get a little money that I can invest in like Kudros or something. One thing about Wolf Slayers is I keep passing by this NPC and I kind of forgot he existed. He's the only way to get True Protection books, but you can also get them on Bazaar. What are you gonna do about that, huh? Oh, what perfect timing! I won't be able to do a single Slayer now. These caves are now going to be filled with players. One thing that I definitely think they should do is kind of revamp, or I guess not like revamp, but add to the original Slayers. Because we got the Revenant Horror 5, and for a while that was quite a challenge, but then we ended up getting the Enderman Slayer and Blaze Slayer, which compared to our original Slayers are incredibly hard. And I mean, I get that there's obviously like power scaling that the game has to go through for that to actually happen. I don't know, I think it'd be cool to see a tier 5 Broodfather or like a tier 5 Sven, or maybe even like a tier 6 or 7 Revenant, because I believe initially when they were in development, Miniclune had like tier 6s and tier 7s in mind. So I don't know, I just remember him leaking like a tier 7 Revenant or something on his channel, and it had a bunch of health. I mean, one thing though is like Revenant tier 5s are so vastly different than tier 4s and how you complete them. So like I wonder what a Wolf tier 5 would look like what unique abilities would it have that made it different, you know? Because I'm pretty sure the way Wolf Slayers were initially designed back when Slayers first came out, it was supposed to be like a group of people based on, I think, like the armor that you unlock. It's this armor of the pack. When there's people that are also wearing armor of the pack, then you get bonuses based off of it, and you get that at Wolf Slayer 6. So I don't know, I think it would be cool to have like an actual like Slayer that can't take damage unless you have people around, you know? So it's like an actual group effort, you know? I think that'd be so cool. Then again, if you don't have friends that play this game, that'd be kind of rough for you, but I mean, that would shed some more light on like guild communities and stuff like that. Talking about updates and leaks really reminds me of my series that I had on my old channel called Skyblock Ideas, where I literally just came up with ideas for Hypixel Skyblock and pitched them in YouTube video format. And what's crazy is I actually had an armor set that gave Magic Find before Magic Find was even really a thing, because I believe Magic Find either came out during the Slayer update or around the time it came out, but I don't know. I had a set that gave Magic Find, but it wasn't called Magic Find. I called it Luck. And it just behaved the exact same way Magic Find did. It increased drop chances for rare items. So one could say that I made Magic Find before it was even in the game. I feel like something like that would eventually have to come into the game anyway, because there's so many rare drops in this game, there would have to be a way to increase the chances of dropping them. I still have the world file with all the ideas on it on my laptop, so I don't know. It'd be cool to go back and revisit them, I feel like. I also remember I made an armor set that was similar to Reaper Armor before Reaper Armor came out. Because Reaper Armor's ability is when you sneak, you gain 100 damage, 100 strength, and 100 speed, and it's called Enrage. And I had armor called Rage Armor, which basically did the exact same thing, and it was meant for berserks to use in dungeons. It would cap your defense at 100, but in turn it would output your damage by like a bunch. I think when I came out with that, I think Lore 4 had just come out, and the stats at the time were like slightly better than Shadow Assassin, because I wanted it to be like a late game armor set, and then they released Necrons like a couple weeks later with Floor 7s. Oh no, I think I'd like to see the power creep and how that all turned out, because I feel like when I first started creating ideas, it was like near when Skyblock first came out. So I would try and make armor sets that were balanced, but obviously now they would be like early game type of stuff. Because you remember when Skyblock first came out, even before the end, late game was like Emerald Armor. Unfortunately, I was never one of the people that had Emerald Armor. But then when the end came out, the meta shifted from having the highest health and defense to doing the most damage, and server reboot. But anyway, like the meta shifted from having the most health and defense to doing the most damage with the rise of Strong Dragon and Superior Dragon Armor. Especially because this update was the first update that added monsters where people couldn't kill them straight away. In the past you had the Blazing Fortress, which the hardest mobs there had like 150 health or something like that. It was really low. And then they went ahead and added the End, which gave people Zealots, which had 13,000 health. It was kind of a big jump. And that's kind of what changed the meta, was just people needing to do damage now. Anyway, rant over. I just think that the End was a big contributor to the current meta of Skyblock. I like the current meta of Skyblock, how there's so many different things you can do and there's so many different ways to play the game, but I also get so nostalgic for old Skyblock. I think my peak Skyblock experience was right before Dungeons, when Pets had just came out, because everyone was anticipating Dungeons, but then they released Pets, and then Dungeons came out like, I think a couple months later or something. I look back when Pets 1.0 came out because I actually made a video when Pets first came out, and it performed surprisingly well, and I think that's kind of what got me into making Skyblock content in the first place. Obviously not on this channel, but it's kind of what kicked off my Skyblock content creating obsession, you know? That is all for today's video. Unfortunately, I dropped a few RNGs, but they weren't on camera. None of those RNGs were Overfluxes, unfortunately. I dropped 3 Red Claw Eggs, 2 Couture Runes, and 2 Wolf Talismans. I sold one of the Couture Runes already because they were up to like 400k, and that was the highest I'd seen them all day, so profit. But yeah, if you did enjoy, please like, comment, or subscribe. This has been Kuda. Remember, wear your texture packs.
So I hit him in his lipsy. Saw that boy I go with, he feeling kinda thirsty. Sipping on this yellow and it really got me tipsy. Trying to get a grip and now that baby trying to grip me. Hit her with my finger, now she getting kinda sticky. Say he wanna fight, but I just hit her with that 50.